Marcos Villegas for Fight Up TV, post-fight here with Jim Lampley. We saw Canelo get a wide decision over Jermell Charlo. Overall, Jim, what'd you make of the fight and the performance that we saw from both?
A vintage Canelo Alvarez performance. Jermell Charlo tried and put some pressure on Canelo early in the fight, but it really wasn't about Jermell tonight. This was about Canelo listening to people saying, oh, he's on the downside, his skills may be waning, etc., and going into the ring and proving he's as good as he's ever been. And he's the greatest fighter of his generation, and he's somebody who is going to rank very high in the overall history of the sport based on performances just like this.
I know this was an opponent that was moving up 2 weight classes, but in your opinion, did he answer the questions that if he's on the downside, he's on the decline at this point?
I don't think that Canelo Alvarez is on the downside at all. I mean, if people are saying that because of one loss to Dimitri Bivol, they're ignoring the obvious. That was a matchmaking error. He should never have fought Dimitri Bivol. Too big, too long, all the skills, etc. It's just the wrong matchup for him. He's not a light heavyweight. I think he understands that he's a 168-pound fighter, or could probably go down 8 pounds and be the strongest middleweight in the world, but he's not a 175-pound fighter, regardless of how easily he beat Sergey Kovalev a few years ago. He was beating the battered hulk of the former Sergey Kovalev after Andre Ward had softened him up. So, I think that we're wrong if we think that Canelo is somewhere toward the end or on the downside. He won't say openly, he won't say categorically that his goal is to be seen as the greatest Mexican fighter of all time. But I strongly believe that is his inner goal. I think that burns like a fire within him. So look at what he's going after. He wants to be seen as better than Salvador Sanchez, who died before we saw the best years of him, quite possibly. He wants to be seen as better than Julio Cesar Chavez, who almost made it to 100 wins. There are so many others I could mention: Barrera, Morales, Marquez, all the great Mexican fighters. This guy wants to be the best of them all. And I think he's in position to make that argument. He needs maybe a couple more really good wins. He's fighting in an era rich with talent. He's beating everybody you put in front of him. 2 wins in close fights and then a 3rd win in a mop-up against Gennady Golovkin. That's unbelievable. It's phenomenal. I mean, one of the greatest assets is his chin, and it helps to set up everything else he does.
Who's that win that he needs to get in order to be in that conversation? Is it a David Benavidez? Is it an opponent yet to come out? Or is it another opponent at a bigger weight class once more?
David Benavidez is the logical opponent. At this moment, he should fight David Benavidez.
Yeah.
I think that, I mentioned to Crawford the other day, I said, you're no longer pound for pound number 1. Most people rank Terence Crawford pound for pound number 1. Canelo said, that's not right. I'm still pound for pound number 1. I think he was probably thinking of that tonight, too. There's a 21-pound gap between Crawford and Canelo, but I think if they could make a deal, find a catch weight, 154, 157, 160, somewhere between 147 and 168, the world would love to see a fight between the ultra-violent Canelo Alvarez and the ultra-violent Terence Crawford. That's potentially a great fight.
I think Crawford is willing to fight at a full 168 against Canelo. We saw how weight played a difference in this fight. Do you think it plays a difference in that fight with Crawford?
I don't think Terence Crawford can effectively go up to 168 without a few fights to get used to it, and time is running out. I think they have to have, if that fight's going to happen, that has to be a negotiation where Crawford at least is able to pull Canelo down to 160. Crawford up to 160, yeah, it might be a bridge too far, but let's find out. He's the other fighter who has the skill, the instinct, and the kind of offensive talent that Canelo has.
All right, hey Jim, great seeing you.
My privilege.
Really, really good seeing you here.
Great to be here.
We miss you. Thank you.
Thank you.